On the sidelines of the 2026 Stratcom Summit, we sat down with the Foreign Minister of Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus, Tahsin Ertugruloglu, and talked about the importance of defining the real problem on the island and the European deployments near the island and the ring of fire that surrounds Turkiye and the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus. I'm İlyas Avcı, and this is One on One. Foreign Minister of Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus, Tahsin Ertugruloglu. Mr. Welcome here to Istanbul and to TRT World.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
I'd like to start off with something that you mentioned quite often. You say that Cyprus problem is not a matter of conflict, but it's a matter of status. Could you talk to us about that?
Sure. What I basically mean is you have two sides on the island, two separate national entities who share the same island. And after more than 300 years of Ottoman rule, during the British colonial period, conflicts began. And the Greek Cypriot aspirations for Megali Idea, the grand ideal, to re-establish the empire of Alexander the Great and all of that, and annexing the island of Cyprus to Greece, conflicts began. Now, if you give these people who have this distorted mentality about the island as if it is a Hellenic island, if you allow these people to see themselves as if they are the masters of the island and treat them as if they are the Republic of Cyprus on their own, without the Turkish Cypriot partner, who they kicked out by force of arms in 1963, then the problem of Cyprus is basically a problem of status. Who is who and who is not who? The Greek Cypriots are not the Republic of Cyprus. And we, as Turkish Cypriots, we are not a mere community of that republic. This is what I mean when I say Cyprus problem is a problem of status. And as long as the statuses of the two sides, who were in the beginning co-founder political equals in the establishment of the Republic of Cyprus, that partnership was not a partnership between majority and minority. The Republic of Cyprus was a partnership of political equals. Not numerical maybe, but political equals. Guaranteed equality. Yet, the destruction of this partnership by Greek Cypriots after only 3 years proved to us, Turkish Cypriots, that political equality on its own is not a guarantee for the survival of the partnership. As such, we have developed our policy into political equality, yes, but only if it is dependent on sovereign equality. So the Cyprus problem is basically a very simple problem, but made very complicated by the international community because of their wrong diagnosis of the problem. Back in 1964, in drawing up UN Security Council Resolution 186 to send UN troops to the island, there was a reference in that resolution to the government of Cyprus that has accepted to receiving the UN troops. But there was no legitimate government of Cyprus in March 1964 anymore. But that reference to a non-existent government of Cyprus allowed the Greek Cypriots to pretend as if they, on their own, are the government of Cyprus, and the UN Security Council membership, led by the United Kingdom as the penholder on Cyprus, allowed them to sit in the UN General Assembly as a member country of the UN. And that created the Cyprus problem as it is till today. The Greek Cypriots, even though they shouldn't be recognized as the Republic of Cyprus, because this is contrary to all the agreements that created the Republic of Cyprus, and we shouldn't be treated as if we are a secessionist ethnic minority of that republic, because we aren't. We didn't destroy the partnership. Greek Cypriots did. But the Greek Cypriots have been rewarded by the international community, and we are still being punished with all sorts of embargoes and restrictions.
And now we're seeing a new wave of troops coming from the Europeans to the island. How do you evaluate that?
That's totally unacceptable, but that is, in a way, less of a threat to us so long as we have Turkish security provided by the presence of Turkish army than the UN. The UN soldiers came in '64, presumably to help stop the bloodshed. The bloodshed being Turkish Cypriots being massacred. That's why those troops were sent. But the atrocities took place on the island in the presence of UN troops, who did not move in any way at all to stop the bloodshed. They simply observed it and reported to UN headquarters. So when we say we suffered these atrocities on the island from '64 to '74, we are not making up stories. All the atrocities are recorded in the archives of the UN building, reported by the UN personnel on the island to New York. Yet the international community, the UN Security Council membership, led by the United Kingdom as the penholder, continued then and continues today to favor the Greek Cypriots as if they are the masters of the island and try to force us to accept to be dominated by the Greek Cypriots, presumably as the Republic of Cyprus, which is total nonsense. There is not going to be anything like that at all. We are proud to have stood against this injustice by an organization, UN, which was created presumably to help respect international law, peace, and security. But the UN we see since 1963 is a UN that creates problems rather than solve problems. And this reality has been recently observed by the rest of the international community, by what's happening in Gaza, what's happening in Palestine, what's happening against Iran, what's happening in Ukraine, Russia. So the UN organization is a helpless organization, totally incapable of solving any problem. Forget about solving problems. It's an organization that creates problems. Years ago, when I was at a university in the United States, the professor openly told us, and since then they have shown that what the professor told us was exactly true. He said, we are the United States of America. We need enemies. If there are no enemies, we create them. So if this is the mentality of the permanent membership of the UN Security Council with veto power, then can anybody be surprised about what's happening on the international platform? Why the system has collapsed? Why no one respects anything called international law? There is no international law. If there were really a respect for international law, then the treatment to Turkish Cypriots should not have taken place as such.
So the whole region is now a ring of fire because of the conflict that's going on. That started in Iran, but now erupted into the broader region.
Yes.
Do you, as the northern part, feel threatened?
Not as long as Turkey is there. No. Turkey is pursuing a very wise, stable policy, not just in relation to Israel, America, Iran, but to any conflict on the international platform. A very wise, very stable, very meaningful, peaceful approach to all these conflicts, calling on all parties to respect diplomatic negotiations. So Turkey is not a military target for anyone. I hope Israel will not be crazy enough to consider making Turkey a military target, because that will probably mean the end of Israel. TRNC is not a military threat to anyone. We are not on the side of anyone in these conflicts. So as long as we enjoy the deterrence of Turkish military might, we don't feel threatened at all. As I was saying earlier, when the Turkish F-16s came, even a very outspoken political opponent of ours on the island openly said the arrival of Turkish F-16s was not just for the security of Turkish Cypriots, but for the Greek Cypriots as well. Now, this person didn't say 2 weeks earlier, when the Greek F-16s came, she didn't say the arrival of Greek F-16s is not for the security of Greek Cypriots, but for the Turkish Cypriots as well, because this is ridiculous. We don't see Greece as a country that we can depend on for anything, for security, for whatever. But Turkey is the only guarantor country. As you know, when the Republic of Cyprus was established, due to the Treaty of Guarantee, 3 countries were the guarantors: Turkey, Greece, and the United Kingdom. Out of these 3 guarantors, only Turkey has lived up to its responsibilities as a guarantor. Greece violated her guarantorship by staging a coup d'etat on the island in 1974. United Kingdom never lived up to its responsibilities as a guarantor country, because they never did anything to prevent Greek attempts to Hellenize the island of Cyprus, because the only thing the United Kingdom is worried about are the future of the 2 sovereign base areas. So Turkey is the only one that can be seen as a guarantor. So no matter what is happening around the island of Cyprus, our strength is the strength of the Turkish Republic, the Turkish Armed Forces, to whom we trust 100%. And we don't see any country prepared to stage military show against Turkey, because that would be detrimental to their own livelihood.
Thank you for setting aside time to speak with us.
Thank you for your interest.